Some 17 Democrats were arrested in an abortion rights rally outside the Supreme Court. These representatives included Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Jackie Speier, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Rashida Tlaib. It was basically the squad and its associated members. At 1:20 p.m., the U.S. Capitol Police wrote on Twitter it began arresting activists blocking First Street Northeast. Authorities said they gave their traditional 3 warnings before taking the protesters into custody. The demonstration was designed to get people arrested so they could pretend that there was some sort of fascist crackdown on the pro-choice position in Washington, D.C., of all places. And this resulted in some pretty hilarious and stunning tape. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the geniuses behind this rally. And the footage of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez getting arrested is hysterically funny, like really, really funny, because this Instagram congresswoman is concerned with nothing so much as the images that come out from her. That's all that matters to her. She uses Congress as a platform for her social media following. Yuval Levin, the excellent columnist and author, he talks routinely about how the institutions of the United States have been basically hollowed out from within by people who wish to use the institutions as platforms rather than allowing the institutions to shape them. So it used to be that when you went into Congress, you want to be a representative, you want to represent the people in your district, you learned how Congress worked, you attempted to get things done, you tried to pick a few key priorities and advance them, and you became a congressperson. Well, now Congress is just a way for you to get more famous. And AOC is just the best example of this. So she, along with these 17 other lawmakers, got arrested for standing in the street. Like, the reason that you stand in the street and that you don't dissipate when the police tell you to do so is because you wish to be arrested and to get the pictures from it. For AOC, she is so fake. She is so phony. So she gets arrested. And by arrested, we mean that she was like held for 1 second by the police and then released. And in the process of getting arrested, she pretends that she's being handcuffed. I'm not kidding. The video shows AOC with her hands behind her. There are no handcuffs on her. She has not been in any way restricted in her movement. And then in the middle of this, she takes her hands out from behind her back and raises one hand in the power salute, demonstrating that she is not in fact handcuffed. And then she puts her hands back behind her back as though she's been handcuffed again. She is, what a ridiculous Hollywood-esque character she is, beyond parody. Here is the video of AOC being arrested. So you can see her. She's being walked right here. But by the way, she is holding her hands behind her back. Nobody is telling her she has to hold her hands behind her back. It looks like she's handcuffed or something. There's a lady walking right next to her. The policeman has his hands on 2 women. One is just generic protester and one is AOC. The policeman, the woman who's not AOC, is walking normally, right? She's got both hands by her sides like a normal human. AOC is holding her hands behind her back to demonstrate that she is being arrested as though she has been restrained in some way. She's not been restrained in any way. The police officer is just holding her arm because she's under arrest. She puts her hands behind her back like she's Nelson Mandela or something. And she then raises her arm in salute to people, demonstrating that she is not actually restrained. And so either she's David Blaine and she's capable of slipping physical handcuffs in order to raise the power fist and then slipping her hand back into the handcuffs, or she actually is not being restrained, but this is all performative. We'll get to more on AOC's brilliant performance in just 1 second. First, let's talk about the fact that America right now is getting pinched by dumb leftist policies. Idiotic policies like shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline have you paying way more than you should for gas, which also in turn raises the cost of your grocery bills. It's difficult to depend on the government. There's one thing you can depend on. That is Pure Talk. Pure Talk still gives you talk, text, plenty of data for just $30 a month. No price increase there. I am a Pure Talk customer. They're the most reliable network in America. They have excellent 5G coverage. Plus, they're a veteran-owned company with a customer service team based right here in the United States. Stop giving your money away to Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Switch to my guys over at Pure Talk. They make it really easy with a no-risk money-back guarantee. Go to puretalk.com, select a plan, enter promo code Shapiro, save 50% off your very first month of coverage. You can literally be switched over to Pure Talk service in less than 10 minutes. Go to puretalk.com, enter promo code Shapiro today. Again, that's puretalk.com. You think that you need 5G coverage from one of the big guys, but here's the thing. Pure Talk has the same exact coverage for less money, so why not shift over there? puretalk.com, enter promo code Shapiro to get started. That's puretalk.com, promo code Shapiro. All of politics now is so performative. And then you wonder why it is that American politics seems to be falling apart. It's all performative because our politicians are no longer treated like they should be. They're not treated as plumbers who are expected to fix problems. Our politicians are treated as great moral leaders. If you could find a class of people less qualified to be great moral leaders than politicians, you're hard-pressed to do so. Specifically because they are selected by the population. If you elect your own moral leaders, how can you expect them to be moral leaders? And you don't elect the rabbis that you choose, right? You can have a congregation with a board and they go and they hire somebody, but the great moral leaders, typically speaking, are not people who are answerable to the public via voting. If you're just looking through the vast swath of human history, the great activists that we've had are not people who are answerable to the vast majority of the American public, specifically because if you're answerable to the vast majority of the American public, very often you can't actually do the things that are moral and necessary. Okay, but the idea here is that we're supposed to look to our politicians for great moral guidance. And that means that all of our politicians are invested in being our great moral leaders, even if that means getting nothing done. And the getting nothing done becomes the point. And then we're supposed to be disappointed in our politicians when they get nothing done. So we both want them to be great moral exemplars who get nothing done and also people who get something done. And they're not going to do any of these things. And so you end up with an extraordinarily weak political class that doesn't get anything done, but poses an enormous amount. That's very interested in posing for the cameras. Whether it's AOC crying, supposedly, at a fence wearing all white, a full parking lot away from a detention facility. By the way, I haven't noticed her crying over child detentions among illegal immigrants, even though they're now at all-time highs under Joe Biden. She's just not a priority for her. Or whether she's faking being handcuffed at an abortion rally for the cameras. This is what our political class has become. It's a complete merger of celebrity class and the political class. And the result is a group of people who are completely disconnected from the American public because they have an echo chamber morality mirrored by the media, and people who also get nothing done. So it's the worst of all available worlds. And that leads people to be both disappointed in the morality of the people who are in office and also disappointed in the efficacy of people who are in office. Well, that's a pretty ugly recipe. And the backlash is coming, and it's coming strong. And frankly, it should be coming at this point. And our enemies are watching. Because while the United States is worried about issues like climate change, which Joe Biden really doesn't have any power to control, while we are worried about issues like abortion, which the federal government really is not involved in, while we're doing all of that, China is on the move. China is seeking to consolidate its gains. What this means is that weaker economic systems, like the communist system in China, actually can succeed in certain ways against the United States, not because China is well run, but because America is so poorly run. The simple fact of the matter is that China is a horribly run country. It wastes literally trillions of dollars every single year. It keeps its own people in a state of oppression and poverty. It restricts innovation specifically because it might come at the expense of the Communist Party for innovation to take place. A certain level of liberty and freedom have to be available in order for true innovation to happen. That doesn't happen in China. China tends to rip off American products. They don't tend to invent amazing new ones. Okay, but all of those inherent weaknesses of China are going to be covered for by the fact that the United States and the West have decided to deliberately weaken themselves morally, spiritually, politically, economically. No wonder America's enemies are on the move, and it's going to get worse over time unless we rediscover the moral backbone that made the West what the West was supposed to be. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Ben Shapiro Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date with all our future content.